The notification popped up on my phone while I was watering the orchids. Your daughter at Maya Reed 93 mentioned you in a video. 63 years old, and the word mentioned still gave me a little thrill. A mother's heart is a hopeful, stupid thing. I tapped it. It opened TikTok, an app I'd downloaded only to see her life in 30-second bursts. The video had a catchy, sorrowful audio track. The title, in bold letters, made the room tilt. Breaking Generational Trauma. Why I'm Cutting Off My Toxic Parent. And there was my Maya, my beautiful girl, now a woman of 34, her face somber and perfectly lit, speaking directly to the camera from what looked like her expensive, minimalist living room. A room I'd helped furnish. I've finally found the courage to speak my truth, she began, her voice a practiced, empathetic murmur. For years, I lived under the weight of a toxic parent. The constant criticism disguised as concern, the guilt trips, the emotional manipulation. Anytime I tried to set a boundary, I leaned against the kitchen counter, the ceramic watering can heavy in my hand, Chris's M. I'd told her the striped wallpaper clashed with her velvet sofa. Guilt tribs. I'd asked if she was sure she could afford that new car lease. Manipulation. I'd cried when she told me she was spending Christmas in Bali with friends instead of coming home. Was love now considered a toxin? She went on, listing the signs without ever saying my name. But every example was a tiny, distorted, funhouse mirror version of our life. My worry was smothering. My advice was controlling. My desire for a close relationship was enmeshment. Then she said the phrase that turned my blood to ice. A toxic parent, she said, looking right at the lens, right at me, is like a poison that you have to cut out of your life to truly heal. And that's what I'm doing for my mental health. I am choosing me. The video ended. The comments were a torrent of support. You're so brave, Queen. Protect your peace. Toxic parents don't deserve access to you. Hundreds of them. Thousands. I stood there, in the silent, sun-dappled kitchen of the home where I'd raised her, where I'd read her stories, bandaged her knees, and yes, worried over her. And I felt something inside me calcify. This wasn't a private argument. This was a public execution of my character. She had put my love on trial for an audience of strangers and found it guilty. She hadn't called me. She hadn't written a letter. She had monetized her disdain, turning our private history into public content for digital applause. The anger came first, hot and humiliating. Then it settled, cold and hard, into a single, crystalline resolve. She wanted to talk about toxicity, about poison. Fine. Let's talk about legacy. Let's talk about what happens when you bite the hand that fed you, clothed you, and was, even now, poised to leave you everything. You see, Maya didn't just call me toxic. She underestimated me. She saw a lonely old woman tending her orchids, waiting for the phone to ring. She didn't see the woman who'd built a small, formidable fortune after her father died. The woman who'd turned a modest inheritance into an estate through shrewd, quiet investment. The house, the stocks, the bonds, the vacation property, it was all mine. And she was the sole heir. Or she was... I didn't call her. I didn't comment on the video. I let the digital silence stretch. I watched as she posted follow-up videos about setting boundaries and the globe after going no contact. Her engagement soaring. She was building a brand on the corpse of our relationship. Meanwhile, I called my lawyer, Eleanor Shaw, a woman with the demeanor of a stiletto knife. Eleanor, I said, my voice perfectly steady, I need to revise my will completely. Of course, Vivienne, new beneficiary, the Lyceum for Traditional Arts. I could almost hear Eleanor's sharp smile through the phone. The Lyceum was a conservative arts foundation dedicated to preserving classical painting and sculpture, everything Maya, a devotee of provocative modern conceptual art, publicly mocked and derided as oppressive and relics of the patriarchy. She'd once staged a protest outside one of their galas. A charity, Eleanor clarified, not an individual. You're aware this is permanent. I am profoundly aware, I said, and I want it structured so that the entire estate forms an endowment in my name. The Vivian Reed Legacy Fund. I want the announcement to be public, splashy, and I want it to specify that this generous, transformative gift was made possible because I have no living dependents to whom I wish to leave my worldly goods. There was a pause. That is, Remarkably specific. It's a remarkably specific situation, I replied. I spend the next month in a state of serene purpose. I met with the directors of the Lyceum. I approved the plans for the new wing. My endowment would fund a wing dedicated to portraiture, the most traditional of arts. I posed for a photograph with a giant ceremonial check. I gave a quiet, gracious interview about the importance of preserving beauty and tradition for future generations. I never mentioned Maya. I didn't have to. The subtext was ATHUNDERCLAP. Legal work was finalized. The press release was scheduled. My revenge was not a shout in the comments section. It was a line item in a will, a headline in the arts section, a permanent, multi-million-dollar monument to the fact that she had been erased. The day the news broke, I sat by the phone. I didn't wait long. It rang at 10:17 a.m. Maya's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring 4 times, then picked up Mother. Her voice wasn't the soft, therapeutic tone from TikTok. It was shrill, jagged, with panic. What is this? I just got a Google alert. The Lyceum. You're giving them everything. I took a slow breath, looking at my thriving orchid, a delicate, complex thing that required patience and care. Hello, Maya, I said. Yes, it's true. I've decided to leave my estate to a cause that reflects my values. Beauty, tradition, permanence. That's my inheritance. She shrieked, the mask of enlightened healing completely gone. You can't do that. I'm your daughter. Are you? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. The woman in that video told the world she had cut her toxic parent out of her life. She said she was choosing herself. Well, darling, so am I. I'm choosing to invest in something that won't call me poison. I'm choosing legacy over ingratitude. You made your choice for an audience. I've made mine for posterity. We're both protecting our peace, aren't we? The silence on the other end was a void. I could hear her ragged breathing, the sound of a worldview shattering. She had wanted to cancel me in the court of public opinion, so I had simply written her out of the future, permanently. You're hateful, she finally whispered. No, Maya, I said, the full weight of my 63 years in my voice, untoxic. Remember, and you taught me that toxic things need to be removed. Consider this my final lesson. I ended the call. I placed the phone down on the counter. The orchid was about to bloom. Outside, the sun was shining. The silence in my house was no longer an absence. It was a presence. It was peace. True peace, bought and paid for in full. The fallout was not quiet. My serene silence became a vacuum, and nature, especially the social media kind of whores a vacuum. Maya's healing journey content screeched to a halt. The comments on her viral toxic parent video, once a chorus of support, were now a battleground. The story had leaked, of course. Someone from the Lyceum's PR team, a friend of a friend, had whispered the delicious, scandalous context. The donor was the very toxic parent the viral had cut off. The internet, ever fickle, turned. New comments flooded in. So you called your mom toxic and are shocked she cut you out of the will. Play stupid games. Therapy speak versus an actual lawyer. Guess who won? You monetized your family drama and mom monetized the receipts. Iconic. She tried to control the narrative. She posted a tearful, shaky follow-up video about financial abuse and elder manipulation, but the magic was gone. The performance felt desperate, the tears transparent. Her audience, built on the fantasy of clean, consequence-free liberation, smelled the hypocrisy. Her follower account stalled, then began to bleed. I watched it all from a distance, my emotions, not numb, but settled. The righteous fury had burned off, leaving behind a landscape of quiet, stark truth. She had traded a mother for a brand and found the currency worthless. A final, satisfying twist came 3 weeks later. A letter arrived, not an email. Maya's handwriting, once taught by my own hand, was on the envelope. It was not an apology. It was a legal notice, a formal challenge to my will, citing undue influence and lack of testamentary capacity. Claiming I was not of sound mind when I made the changes, I almost smiled. She was still performing, still fighting the battle. She thought she understood. She saw an old woman, vulnerable and bitter. She didn't see the strategist. I called Eleanor Shaw, They've taken the bait, I said. Perfect, Eleanor replied, her voice crisp with anticipation. We are prepared. You see, the will was ironclad, but the legal challenge was the final piece of my design. I had not just changed my will, I had laid a trap. In the month between my decision and the public announcement, at Eleanor's suggestion, I had undergone a full, independent psychiatric evaluation. I had met with a geriatric specialist. I had meticulously documented, with dates and times, my decision-making process. We had a paper trail that proved not just competency, but cold, rational, premeditated intent. We could prove I knew exactly what I was doing and why. More importantly, the challenge itself opened the door to discovery. In contesting the will, Maya's lawyers would have to depose me. They would have to enter into evidence her own content as proof of our estrangement. They would have to argue, in a court of law, that her public declaration of cutting me out of her life was somehow not relevant to my decision to cut her out of my will. The day of the deposition arrived. I wore a simple, elegant suit. I looked every inch the composed, intelligent matriarch. Maya, across the table with her lawyer, looked pale and drawn, the strain of her crumbling digital empire showing in real life. Her lawyer began trying to paint me as a vindictive, confused old woman, swayed by the flattery of the Lyceum. Mrs. Reed, isn't it true you were deeply hurt by your daughter's online statements? I was informed of them, I corrected calmly. My feelings are not on trial. My judgment is, and you decided to disinherit your only child as a result of this embarrassment. I looked directly at Maya then, not with hatred, but with a profound, wary finality. I decided to align my legacy with my values. My daughter publicly stated our relationship was harmful to her. I believed her. I respected her boundary. I simply made it permanent. And I chose to redirect the resources I'd once earmarked for her future toward preserving beauty for countless futures. It was a practical, considered decision. They played her TikTok video in the deposition room. Watching my own daughter labeled me a poison to a room of stone-faced lawyers was surreal. But when it ended, my lawyer, Eleanor, stood, Your Honor. We moved to enter the claimant's entire public social media history for the past year into evidence. It establishes the state of the relationship and the public persona she cultivated, which is directly relevant to Mrs. Reed's state of mind. Maya's lawyer objected, but it was over. They knew it. To fight the will, they had to prove I was irrational. But my actions were a direct, logical response to her very public, very rational declarations. Her own words were the nails in her legal coffin. The challenge was withdrawn within the week. A quiet, costly, humiliating retreat. The will stood. The last I heard, Maya had moved to a smaller apartment. Her TikTok brand never recovered. The toxic parent arc had backfired catastrophically. She learned too late that the internet loves a drama, but it has no mercy for a loser. As for me, I attend the occasional gala at the Lyceum. The Vivian Reed wing of portraiture is under construction. Sometimes I stand in the quiet space where it will be, and I feel no triumph, only a deep, solid quiet. My daughter called me a toxic parent on TikTok, so I donated my entire estate to a charity she hates. It wasn't an act of spite, it was an act of reclamation. She wanted to define our relationship as a sickness, so I cured it. I removed the patient myself from her narrative entirely, and I invested the proceeds in something timeless. Revenge is not always a fire. Sometimes it's the quiet, irrevocable act of signing your name on a new future, one where you are no longer a character in someone else's story, but the author of your own. And the final sentence was a period, bold and definitive.